Started streaming. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good evening and welcome to episode 9 of the Jacksonian. As I have with me is Tyler from Sidelines Sports Arizona. Last week there was a bit of a technical difficulty, a kerfuffle, so to speak, but this time we got the IT guy and I worked on it. We got everything fixed. All good to go. How you doing,
Great
Tyler?
to be here. Yeah, great to be here, Jackson. Glad we got the technical difficulties worked out, and happy to join the show.
Thank you for coming on, man. And it's going to be a fun one. The first question I wanted to go over was, what was the reaction when you found out Arizona was going to be the 14th team to join the Big 12 for 2024?
Yeah, it's kind of the question we've all been kind of chewing on, right? It's like I think at first I was a little sad. I got such deep ties to the Pac-12. My dad went to Arizona, I went to Arizona, so Pac-12, and Pac-10, right? Four ran deep, so it's kind of sad seeing that legacy go. But the Pac-12 really shot itself in the foot in a lot of ways, Jackson. It's kind of it was inevitable once the LA schools left. So the fact that Arizona was able to find a place to land was awesome, right? Just being able to go to the Big 12, go to a competitive conference, especially in basketball, was super exciting. And it'll be refreshing to be in a conference that values sports a little bit more. You say about half the schools in the Pac-12, the fans aren't really that engaged, whether it's the Northern California schools and others. So, it's exciting. So I think there's a lot of good to come from joining the Big 12.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, like especially having BYU back as a conference member, because like from the WAC days, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. The WAC days, and then people forget Texas Tech used to be a pretty big rivalry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so out there in Lubbock, it's only about a 5-hour drive from Tucson, so people don't really realize it's not too far away. I think maybe 6 hours, but anyway, used to be a big rivalry back in the day. Be fun to regenerate that rivalry, and then their fans have been great. Love the Texas Tech fans. So yeah, there's some fun rivalries coming back between Texas Tech and BYU.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be another fun rivalry, but more so on the basketball side for right now. Arizona Houston, that's going to be really fun.
Dude, Arizona Houston. We got Baylor, TCU. I mean, Kansas on the basketball side. It's gonna be quite electric. So there's a lot to like about the joining the Big 12 from a basketball perspective.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Arizona, Kansas, that's going to be really fun. Um, so I want to go over like how this year is what's likely to be the final year of the Pac-12. Um, what's going through your mind on that?
I think it's ironic that the Pac-12 probably has its best football conference in say the last 2 decades, probably. There's a lot of depth. I mean, a lot of really good teams. When you look at USC, Washington, Oregon State, Utah. I mean, there's 5, 6 teams that are top 25, and then I'm bullish on my Cats. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people and can maybe end up in the top 25. I believe that, but. Yeah, as we look ahead to the season, I mean, I think USC's got a legit shot at a playoff and making a run with Caleb Williams, and then Michael Penix at Washington's pretty awesome too. So he's got a shot at the Heisman. He's got a shot at doing some special things at Washington, and then the wild card I think in all this is what can DJ. Let's see if I don't butcher it, but Ungalele, I think I did butcher it, but if he can be above average at Oregon State with that offensive line at Oregon State, coached by Jim Mahalchek, and that defense. Oregon State could surprise some people too. So should be shaping up to be a really fun year in the Pac-12.
Well, they say that the reason why DJ Ukulele didn't do so hot was because everybody was trying to make him more like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. That didn't end out so well.
I mean, those are two big names to try to follow suit, right? I mean, those guys were pretty talented, and they're doing their thing on Sundays, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes, right? Some kids come in with a lot of hype and just can't live up to it. I think too, it's hard for a kid that's um, a kid coming from California, right? He went to St. John Bosco, then going all the way to Clemson and trying to play, in the ACC and trying to play whatever 3,000 miles away from home. That's tough. So maybe being a little closer to home. His brother's at Oregon, right? He was a five-star kid, defensive end that's going to Oregon. So he's going to be by his brother a couple hours away in Eugene. Quick flight down to California. So maybe there's a little bit of maybe he can find himself a little bit more being back on the West Coast and at Oregon State.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that his brother is in the state of Oregon. I heard that factored into his decision.
Totally. Yeah, I think how could it not, right? I mean, close family with his dad's big into the football community in the Los Angeles area. You know, his brother was a highly praised recruit, went to Oregon, and yeah, being a couple hours away from Corvallis to Eugene, couple-hour drive, and he's walking into a situation that's really ripe. You look at Oregon State; they run the ball a lot. Their defense is really stout. They got a great coach. And they kind of just needed a quarterback there that could manage the offense, make a couple plays, and if they win 10 games, I don't think many people will be surprised. I think Vegas has their over under at 8.5. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at Oregon State.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm looking at Arizona, and Jalen Delora had a fantastic year last year, with him being 14th in passing yards in the nation and third in the Pac-12. I mean, everybody talked about Michael Penix and Caleb Williams. Nobody
Yeah,
talked about this guy, Jalen Delora.
yeah.
What is it that everybody doesn't know about him? What are the strengths and weaknesses everybody needs to look for?
I think with Jaden, he's got a lot of skills in his bag. He can be a little bit of a wild card. I think some of the turnovers and he had some down games in some really clutch situations. You look at Washington State game last year. That was a game where we were at 4 wins. It was the second to last game of the year. We beat Washington State, and then if we go beat ASU, it's like we can go to a bowl game. And in that Washington State game, you got to remember, Jackson. I don't know if you know, he transferred from Washington State. So this
Yep.
was a big game, right? This was a big game for him to kind of prove himself, play against his buddies over there. And I think he threw 5 picks. And it was just, yeah, it wasn't great. So a little inconsistent. I think, for those that aren't super familiar with JDL, he's got a great arm. He can scramble. He's elusive playmaker. But he can be a little bit, of a wild card sometimes. You don't know what you're going to get with him game to game. So I think from everything I've read and heard from Coach Fish, he's really, they're really preaching consistency. If he can just be consistent, game in, game out, get the ball to the playmakers. I mean, we got so many guys on that side of the ball. We should be really good in a fun offense. And I would look to see that interception number come down, and really, really, help our offense kind of I think we were top 20 offense last year, maybe get into the top 10 if you can bring that interception ratio down.
Yeah, to your point about Arizona being top 20, they were 20th in total offense in the
Yep.
nation. They were 6th in passing yards per game. That's pretty big, right?
Yep.
Looking at the rushing yards per game, that's got to go up.
Yeah, it could, right? We have a lot of weapons. Michael Wiley's our starting running back. He's an NFL guy. He decided to come back for one more year. He's got all the tools to probably have 20, 25 touches a game. But our offense is get the ball in our playmakers' hands on the outside, and that's kind of Jed's philosophy is he likes to throw the ball. So we'd love to see the running game go up, but when you have guys like Jacob Cowing, preseason second team All American, Tetoro McMillan, who was a 5-star kid out of the Orange County area last year, freshman, who's coming back for a second year. I expect him to break out. It's hard to say, well, how do you run the ball more? You need to get those guys. You need to get your wideouts to the ball, your playmakers. So hopefully Michael Wiley can have another great year. He had a great year last year. I mean, his game against Arizona State, he's the reason we won that game. He went off. So hopefully he can build on that. We can see that rushing number increase, but at the same time, I like throwing the ball. It's a little bit more sexy, a little bit more fun to watch, right? So
Oh yeah.
we'll see.
Me personally, I'm cool with a high scoring game, low scoring game. Any kind of game's good to me. I have no complaints.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a you're an Alabama fan, Jackson, right? So for you, it's probably high scoring, low scoring doesn't matter unless your team wins.
Yeah.
We haven't had a lot of W's down in Tucson the last couple of years. Jets turning around, but you know, uh, I will say for the last decade, since decade plus since Rich Rod's been there, that's kind of been our mo. We score points, so uh,
Yeah.
you know, I uh, I hope that we continue to kind of be the big offense that we were last year and we built on. And then, we'll see what happens with that defense. We got a lot of transfers coming in. Hopefully we can kind of true that up and make some plays over there and, win some more games because of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun watching Arizona in 2023. The weaknesses that everybody needs to look out for. I'm looking at the defensive stats; they are not very good. What do they
Not
need to
good.
do to get better on defense?
Yeah, and when you look at those stats, I mean, I think it was a bottom 10 defense in all the country last year, and they brought in a ton of transfers. Guys like Bill Norton from Georgia, he was a backup D lineman. He's going to come play nose, and then transfers from Washington, Oregon, Justin Flo, former 5-star, number one rated player in California, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and he's coming to Tucson. So we'll see. I think to your question, it's all right. Last year happened. It's can the young guys who played last year build on having a second year coordinator? They're going to be with Johnny Nansen for the second year, and can Johnny Nansen, who this is his only second year as a DC, he was a position coach for quite a while in the Pac-12. Can he kind of grow as a defensive coordinator and a play caller there? So I look at him from a coaching perspective. Like, can he grow? Can he really kind of put our guys in a position to be successful? And then can all these transfers? I think when you look at the depth chart, there's only like two to three guys who played meaningful minutes last year on defense who are coming back. So you're replacing them with a bunch of freshmen, a bunch of transfers, or a bunch of second year guys who didn't get a lot of playing time last year who look to step up. So I think that's refreshing for people in Tucson, to see some fresh guys and there's some hope behind that. I think it all comes down to coaching, though. A lot of us last year weren't too high on Nansen. Granted, it was his first year at Zona, first year as a DC, but he didn't, his defense didn't look very good. You see the stats, right, Jackson? It wasn't too good. Nothing to write home about. So we're hoping that he can, call some better plays, put his guys in better positions to succeed, and hopefully we have some more dudes to make some more plays.
Well, I'm looking at a lot of the high notes from last year. I mean, everybody's talking about that upset you guys pulled over UCLA. But
Yeah,
everybody tends to forget that victory you had over North Dakota State. Now, North Dakota State has the reputation of being a Power 5 killer. They tend to just beat up on FBS teams, but you ended that winning streak. Like,
yeah.
that was pretty big.
That was huge, and I think you nailed it there. Like, when everyone saw that game on the schedule, it was kind of like, why did we sign up for this, right? Like, who thought this was a good idea? Or even if our program was let's just say if Arizona was a 500 team going into last year, you still don't want to play in North Dakota State. It's just they got nothing to lose. They're looking to prove that they belong with the D1 guys and the Power 5 teams. So to be able to kind of get over that hump, I think that was a really big win for Jed. Also, you got to remember we beat San Diego State last
Oh,
year on the
yeah.
road, and
That's
that
a
was really
big one.
big too because that was the first game of the year. It was in San Diego. It was during San Diego State. It was actually the first game at San Diego State's new stadium. So there was a lot of hype around San Diego State. And man, people forget San Diego State's been a hell of a football program for the last decade. In the Mountain West, and they have plenty of guys in the league. A lot of good football coming out of San Diego. So that was a big win. And then we lost to Mississippi State. We get a chance to revenge here in a couple of weeks, but the North Dakota State was huge. The game was huge, and I watched that game over a couple of weeks ago, and it was there's plenty of opportunities for us to lose that game. They were bigger than us, quite honestly, but we were able to get the win on that. So that was huge, and I think it was a big momentum shift for Jed to kind of Coach Fish to be like, we're not going to be a pushover. We're not going to lose the games we shouldn't lose. So it was big. It was big.
Well, like San Diego State, I mean, I'm sad for them because they've kind of gotten the shaft in conference realignment. You know,
Yeah.
in the offseason, all we heard was, "Oh, San Diego State's going to join the Pac-12. Oh, they're going to be in this conference. Oh, that conference." But then nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah, it's funny because San Diego State kind of did it themselves too, right? They pulled out of the Mountain West. They sent in their letter. They thought they had a place to go in the Pac-12, and then that didn't come through because there was no deal on the table. You got to blame San Diego State a little bit for that, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, putting any hope in the Pac-12 and that leadership over there is a mistake. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, Pac-12 is just a poorly run business. They've taken chances that just doesn't make sense. Creating a network 15 years ago, but not getting the distribution on all the cable providers was just, you're not going to be successful if you do that. San Diego State, I think, belongs in the Power Five. I really do. I'm biased. I'm from San Diego. So I think San Diego State's got a lot to offer. It's a big market. You know, a lot of good football, a lot of good kids coming out of there. But I do think San Diego State could position themselves to be in the Power Five, whether that's the Big 12 or if the Pac-12 finds a way to stick together. But you got to look at the buyout from the Mountain West is about $35 million. So the Pac-12 is not flush with cash right now. So I don't know how they're going to get all these Mountain West schools. The San Diego States, the Fresnos, the Boise's. How are you going to get those schools to bounce from the Mountain West to keep the Pac-12 together? It's looking more and more like the Pac-12 is just going to die. It's too bad, but it's business, right? It's not even, it's just business. So
Yeah, it feels like the plug is going to be pulled real soon. Because like we're hearing like all these reports here and there about Cal, Stanford are going to join the AC. Oh, they're going to leave for the patch. I'm
yeah.
like, have there been any official reports? I'm not saying anything until there's anything official.
Yeah. So Jason Shear's he's a journalist for Arizona, works for 24/7. He's a great guy to follow.
Oh,
He's been kind of hinting at some rumors of a vote to include, I think, Stanford and Cal in the ACC. We'll see what happens with that. I struggle to see what value Stanford and Cal really adds to a conference. They're in Northern California. Sure, it's a big market. I think Stanford speaks for itself academically, but their sports haven't been really that good. I mean, ever since Andrew Luck left, or
yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, more so. But since Christian left, they haven't really been that good. And there's an arrogance around Stanford and Cal. They're alum. There's an academic arrogance. There's a vibe that they just have that isn't warranted. And they don't they kind of hide behind the academia to where they don't really care all that much about sports. I mean, I remember going to Arizona at Stanford when I was still in school, and it was at Stanford, and it was probably 15, 20,000 people there. It was a primetime game on ESPN, I think, and it's just weird. They just don't have that investment and that passion for athletics, like or for football that a lot of the schools have, and the market, right? You got to look at this business wise. Is the market worth investing in if you're at the ACC? Maybe San Francisco area is, but then you got to look at the travel. You got to look at the recruiting. How do you convince a kid to say, "Hey, we're going to travel half of the year. You're going to be playing in North Carolina, Boston College, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, Syracuse." I mean, you're playing. You might as well move the school to the East Coast at that point for the athletes.
Well, I mean, if you want people to get excited about going to Stanford, which say it's in the San Francisco Bay Area,
Yeah,
um,
Palo Alto. Yep.
I would, if I were them, I would at least have one November home game per year at the Giant Stadium. Just have some people that want to, go on their little canoes, watch the game from there.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, there's definitely some attraction to San Francisco. It's a great city, but it's Cal has fallen off so hard. Stanford has fallen off hard. It's just what fan base does it bring? What marketability does it bring? Are people really tuning in to just watch Stanford or Cal on TV? Are people like you, Jackson, who care about the SEC? Are they saying, "Oh, that's a game I want to watch"? Probably not. Honestly,
I'll
they're
watch.
probably not. you'll watch, but you're a football guy. But is the casual fan really excited to watch a Cal or Stanford game? You know, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe when Christian McCaffrey
Sadly,
was there, but not anymore.
sadly not. I
Yeah.
mean, but it is what it is, I guess. But
I
I mean,
like
I
your
feel
idea of a game at the Giants Stadium, though. Yeah, get some canoes out there in McCovey Cove, watch the game. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah, and put it in the afternoon. I mean, for everybody to watch. That would really get recruiting up for that school.
I mean, yeah, it'd be cool.
But yeah, Oregon State, Washington State. I mean, those are the schools that are really getting screwed over.
Yeah, yeah. I feel for those guys a lot. They got great fan bases. Oregon State just invested a ton of money in a new stadium. I don't know if you've seen any videos or pictures of it, but it looks pretty sweet. Um, and they Oregon State's on the rise. I think they just extended their coach to like a $6 million a year contract or $5 million a year contract. Like they got their guy. Um, they're not really competitive in basketball, but Oregon State's got a top 5 baseball program of all time, so they have some things to offer at Oregon State. Um, and then Washington State, it's a great college town, man. They're fun. They got great tradition with their football team, whether it's Bledsoe and Ryan Leaf, right? So they got some attraction there. I think the Northern California schools, I really though feel bad for the Oregon States and Washington State. So I hope they find a place to land, whether that's they can bulk up. Like I personally would love to see the remaining 4 schools merge with the Mountain West. Um, I think that would be fun, keep some West Coast football alive. And, there's some good programs in the Mountain West, whether it's Boise and San Diego State and Fresno. And if you look at, UNLV, they haven't been great, but, they're in Vegas, right? So that's an attraction there. You can have your conference games in Vegas. That's kind of fun. So I would love to see those 2 conferences merge. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's all being driven by the TV dollars and more people are watching. And, people just don't watch as much on the West Coast. That's just the fact.
Well, I mean, the best move, I guess, would be for Oregon State, Washington State to go to Mount West and have the Mount West push to be known as a power conference.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just how do you, and I don't know how that all works, but how do you get labeled a power conference?
I
How
have
do
no
you
idea.
how do you get that automatic bid? Because I think it's all about the automatic bid to the playoff for the college football playoff. So how do you position yourself to be an automatic bid to the playoff? And I don't know, while I, West Coast guy, I'm biased, but I don't know if I look at it kind of objectively, I don't know if that conference of a Pac-12 and Mountain West merger qualifies as a Power Five or, will get an automatic bid.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm imagining like some games between like Oregon State, Boise State. That would make a pretty fun little
Yeah.
rivalry.
Yeah. Oregon State, and then you look at, San Diego State playing against the Stanfords and the Cows a lot. You got, some rivalries there being in California. So, I mean, I think it could work. At the end of the day, though, if you like, the purist in me is a little sad because, I do like the regionality of it all. Just like having a West Coast conference that's good, that's solid. You go back to the 90s, 80s, beyond the Pac-12 was super competitive, right? With LA schools, but then Washington was really good. Oregon was always really good. Arizona, Desert Swarm era was awesome. So it kind of sucks that, everything's being pulled East Coast, but at the end of the day, like we've talked about, it's a business. So, that's where the money is. The TV dollars are tied with more of the Midwest and the South and the East. So the West kind of gets pushed aside. So, again, like I said earlier, I'm just excited Arizona's got a place to go for the meantime, and then we'll see how conference realignment works out in the next decade. I think we're going to see more changes. I really do.
Wow. It's gonna be sad, but we just have to prepare ourselves for it. But like regionality kind of went out the window in the '90s and in like the 2010s, so to speak, with like Miami joining the Big East in the early '90s and West Virginia joining the Big 12 because they were getting
Yeah.
shafted out of the ACC. That was
Yeah,
just,
it's a good point. Yeah, it's a
I
good point. And
mean,
people, I don't know, Jackson, if you know this or many in the South know, but the Pac-12 had an opportunity to add Texas and Oklahoma,
Twice.
and twice, yeah. And it's you look at why the Pac-12 failed. Well, that didn't help their cause. I mean, if you play that out, I mean, a conference of the Pac-12 as it stands with the LA schools, and then you add in Oklahoma and Texas, just keep it at that 14. That's a really attractive conference. That's fun, really deep. The football's awesome. But they couldn't do it. They got arrogant. They thought they didn't need them. They didn't see. They couldn't look ahead. They couldn't see the bigger picture of how things would move, and that's why we're in the position we're in today. It's just it's business.
Well, we got a member of the chat. Traveling Fools is giving us a yo, 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 yo. And we say yo, yo, yo to you too, Traveling Fools. Thank you for commenting on the live chat of episode 9 of the Jacksonian. And I do want to go over a little bit about the schedule that Arizona's got. So there's the non-conference slate. They're starting off with Northern Arizona, and
Yep.
week 2 is going to be against Mississippi State. Week 3 is going to be an easy one against UTEP. But I'm interested in the shootout between Jalen DeLora and Will Rogers. That's going to be tough going to cowbell country in Starkville.
I know. I know. They came to Tucson last year. They got us pretty good. We did not play a good game at all. Jaden didn't have a great game. And I think the most interesting thing when you look at this year is, I really believe that our defense is going to take a big step forward. I really do. I think they're going to be, an average to above average defense, not top 10, not top 20, but maybe a top 50 defense, which if you can pair that with a top 10 or top 20 offense, you're going to have some chances to really be successful. So I'm excited for that matchup. I think it's going to show us a lot just in terms of like, is this team better than we thought, or is this team have the talent that we maybe think it has on paper? And then I think that if you look at Mississippi State, rest in peace to Mike Leach, right? Great coach.
The
But
Pirate.
what is that? Yeah, the Pirate man is a legend. What you gotta ask, like, and maybe Jackson, like, what does that offense look like? Are they still running the air raid? Or
Yeah.
is it a new identity? I don't know. And that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was out of the blue. Like when we found out the news about the Pirate passing away, it was just like, oh man. A part of
Tragic, man.
college football had just died when it happened.
It's true. Legend. Everybody loved him. A personality, but also an innovator, man. Like, such a great coach. Did a lot of great things at Texas Tech and Washington State, and was doing good things at Mississippi State. Um, but I'm excited for the matchup. It's funny. I was like, I was talking to buddies and was like, hey, we should go to Starkville. We should go make a trip out of this. And man, I don't know if you got Mississippi State buddies, Jackson, but you gotta let them know it's not easy for people to get to Starkville if you're flying in. You gotta fly into like Memphis and then drive 3 hours. I was like, okay, I'm out. But anyway, I'm excited for that game. It'll be really fun. I know it'll test some of our guys. We have NFL guys on our offense, and we'll see if they can kind of step up to the challenge. And if we win that game, if you play that out, right? It's NAU, should be a win, right? 1-0. If you can beat Mississippi State, you're 2-0, UTEP 3-0. And then, you look at the Washington game at the end of September, they come to Arizona, and our boys in Washington are used to some cool weather and rain, and if they come in September to Tucson, should be in the 90s, should be hot. We could have a chance at that. That's a upset alert for Washington. So there's an opportunity, I think, for us to really surprise some people. And I think the Mississippi State game is a huge kind of test to see how good we're gonna actually be.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really fun to watch. See if Arizona can pull off that upset over Washington. I mean, I know this, though. They don't need a home stadium to beat UCLA because UCLA does not have a lot of home field advantage where they're at.
No, UCLA, the Rose Bowl is awesome, but it's pretty far away from campus, and their fans are a little wishy washy. Unfortunately, I don't know if you've ever made it to the UCLA campus or been
Unfortunately, I've
around
never
that.
been.
It's unbelievable. UCLA's campus is awesome. It's right there in the heart of Westwood and right near Beverly Hills. It's great. They always talk about in California, Southern California specifically. When you're not really good, there's a lot of other things to do. Why are people going to go to the game and support a bad team when they could go surf, play beach volleyball, go for a hike, ride their bike, whatever it is, right? So it's hard to kind of convince people in Southern California to really be invested. And you look at San Diego Chargers, right? They lost their team to LA. I think a lot of that had to do with some down seasons. Fans didn't show up because it's hard to be invested when it's 70 degrees in November and you're like, I'm just going to go outside and hang out. So.
Well, like a few years back, I was watching some people on ESPN and a few other networks. They were still calling the LA Chargers the San Diego Chargers. I'm like, good Lord, have people not been studying all that much? Or
Yeah, Jackson, I'm from San Diego, so I still call them San Diego Chargers because I'm still mad about it. So I get it. I'm glad they're still keeping it San Diego
oh
Chargers.
man, like I always laugh at like the top notch NFL content creator urinating tree, like what he says about Spanos. Like I love it.
He's the worst. Spanos is the worst.
Oh god.
Yeah, he is the
Spanos is
worst.
a
But
nightmare. I mean, it's just like, and I I don't want to like rain on the Chargers or anything, but it's just like I just feel like they're not gonna get a Super Bowl anytime soon. Like it's nothing against them. It's just you're having to deal with Patrick Mahomes twice a year, and
yep.
I cannot quite put my finger on it, but a lot of bad luck for some reason. Like the last time they won a title of any kind was in the AFL. And
Yeah. And they've been to one Super Bowl, two Super Bowls?
one
I
Super
can't
Bowl.
remember. One Super Bowl.
Yep, 1994 season against the 49ers.
Yeah, and got their you know what kick. So yeah, I think you said bad luck. There does seem to be some bad luck around the Chargers, even when they're in San Diego. And you growing up with those Phillip Rivers teams, there was some teams in there that, best teams in the league, hands down, and just, couldn't do it. Lost to the Jets, lost to the Patriots, and just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You look at the LaDainian Tomlinson, the Phillip Rivers, the Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, Quentin Jammer, Sean Merriman. I mean, you just go down to all the guys they had, all the Pro Bowlers, all pro guys. There was no reason for them not to win one, in my opinion. I mean, I'm biased again, but yeah, they are cursed a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I could complain about my Titans being cursed, but they're nothing compared to the Chargers for sure.
Yeah, you just gotta live with that 1 yard short against the Rams for the rest of your life, right, Jackson? And what,
Well,
99?
no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just feel like it's gonna get rougher against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I just wish the Chargers had a different stadium on it. I mean, it's like you're having to share one with the Rams. It's like, oh man,
It's quite bizarre. It's quite bizarre. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
quite bizarre.
somebody should change that a little bit.
They just got to move him back to San Diego. I hope that happens eventually.
I hope it happens in our lifetime. That would be so cool.
Yeah, agreed with you.
I mean, it would probably be better than like the Rams going back to LA.
Yeah, I mean the Rams started in LA, so them moving from St. Louis back to LA kind of made sense. I think
Yeah.
there's good fans in St. Louis, so that kind of sucked. But San Diego's a big city. It's a great city. They couldn't get the stadium deal done, which is why I think Spanos hides behind. He didn't, why he left LA. But they just don't fit. And I remember talking with somebody or reading something, I can't remember, but if you list out all the teams in LA, San Diego's San Diego. The Chargers are probably the eighth or ninth team, right? You got the Rams, the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Kings, the Ducks, USC football, UCLA, right? It's like people aren't drawn to the Chargers. There's a lot of other sports teams to be fans of, like the Lakers and Dodgers that have been around for decades, and now the Rams. I think the people in LA have more gravitated towards the Rams over the Chargers, and as they should. They won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years. So it's It's an interesting move. I think it's all again business. We've talked a lot about that,
Yeah.
but it's just move them to the LA market, grew the franchise, worth. So that's why Spanos did it. Uh, I still think he's a SOB, but it's neither here nor there.
I mean, I get the Lakers being higher. I get the Dodgers being higher, or even USC football, but UCLA football, that's not right. That is not right.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
offense to
yeah.
UCLA.
Hey, I'm not a fan of him, so it's all good.
I know, but just for UCLA people watching this show, no offense to you guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But speaking of, we'll go over the rest of the Pac-12 schedule. I see that you guys have to go to USC on October 7th, and deja vu all over again for Jalen Delora and Washington State on October 14th. Then you got to play Oregon State in your own backyard on the 28th. UCLA's coming to your backyard. Colorado, you got to go there November 11th. Utah comes over for Senior Day on the 18th, and a rivalry week, of course, the Territorial Cup.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun Pac-12 season, like we talked about, and it really, it's a tough schedule. It's not going to be easy. I think the USC game, guys will give it their all. I don't see Arizona pulling that one out. USC is really, really good. We don't play well in the Coliseum either, so that'll be tough. I'm hoping for the USC game. We actually had 2 transfers from our defense go to USC last year, or actually this offseason. So I'm hoping we can make it a little personal as we go to USC, but I think that'll be an uphill battle. But I like the home games. Like I like the opportunity to play Washington at home, Oregon State at home, Utah at home. That'll be really fun. And then going to Pullman's gonna be really tough. Getting to Pullman stuff. You play Pullman. It's cold up there. They got great fans, and they got a good little team. Washington State's pretty good. Cam Ward's a nice quarterback, and they're tough, and so we'll see. And then anything can happen in the Territorial Cup. It's a rivalry game. I think our roster is better than ASU, and they have a brand new coach this year with Dillingham. So we'll see how he looks as a first-year head coach. But like I said, anything can happen in that rivalry game. So I don't know if we're going to get to projections, but I hope, yeah, I hope we can pull out some of them. I'll just say that, and I think we will.
And Hummus Hero wishes us a happy hello, and a hello to you too, Hummus Hero. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching the show, liking, commenting on this show. We appreciate it very much. So I looked at the record, looked at my prediction for Arizona. I have them going 6-6. So I don't have them going 5-7, so no worries there. I got them winning 2 of their non-con games. I don't think they're going to be able to win at the Cowbell Country, but they will beat Arizona State. I have them beating Colorado. Like I think they'll get a little revenge against Cam Ward and Washington State, and I think they're going to have quite an easy time with Stanford. I was like, oh man, are they going to lose that game? But then I remembered, oh, this isn't 2011 Stanford. This is 2023 Stanford.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think 6-6 is fair. I think the current Vegas line is 6 games, so it's right. I think Vegas is thinking, a lot of people are thinking that we have a real shot to make a bowl game. Like we said, right? The non-conference schedule isn't that easy. It's 2 wins should be in there, and then I think Mississippi State will be underdogs, but I still like seeing what we can do, and just you got nothing to lose. Let's go see what happens. Okay. But you look at the schedule, and there's some games in there, and I'm looking at that right now. I mean, we have 3 games against top 25 opponents, or 4 games, excuse me, with Utah, Oregon State, Washington, USC. Assuming we lose all of those, we have 3 wins: Stanford, UTEP, and NAU, and we got to find 3 other games in there to win, whether that's Colorado, ASU, UCLA. We'll see. My projection is that we actually go 7-5. I think that we'll beat either Washington or Utah at home. Tucson can be an interesting place to play. It can be a tough place to play. weird things happen in Pac-12 after dark. So if we get some of those late night games against Utah or Washington, I think that they're in for a world of hurt. I think we match up well against UCLA too when they're coming to Tucson. I think we actually win that game.
Yeah.
They lost their quarterback, they lost their running back. They're going to start a true freshman at quarterback, so I think we can get that W. So yeah, I see seven. I see 7 wins in there, which would be super exciting. And get a chance to go to a bowl game, get an 8th win. I mean, it would be an unbelievable turnaround if Jed was able to get even 6 wins. Even if he's able to make a bowl, that would be fantastic.
I think he'll do pretty well. I mean, because I think 2024 it's going to get really tough. Like, even though Texas and Oklahoma are not in the Big 12, we're still going to see a very competitive conference in the Big 12, and it's just going to get even tougher.
And I think you nailed it. It's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of parity. I think I think the best team in the Big 12 from a football perspective is going to be Utah. They're a really, really good program. Really good. But then you look at TCU, obviously coming off a national championship runner-up, right? Baylor's been really competitive. Kansas State's tough. Houston's been good. Can they benefit from going to a Power Five? UCF is kind of a wild card to me. They're in the a recruiting hotbed. And Malzone can if he can recruit Florida really well and come to the Big 12, they can. So I think it's just really going to be really competitive. You don't have a lot of outside of Kansas historically, who's doing better, and then Arizona historically over the last 10 years, who is also getting better. You don't have a lot of just doormats. You don't have a lot of games where it's like that's a win. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough football. So I'm excited about the Big 12. I think it'll be a really, really fun football schedule. And then, like we touched on, the basketball schedule is going to be a gauntlet. You're going to see teams with 10 losses being 2 seeds, 3 seeds. I mean, I'm being dramatic probably, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great conference. So Big 12 has a lot to offer. We're really excited to be going there at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be really good. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what Kansas brings with Lance Leipold as head coach. I mean, I think they're going to do all right in 2023. They're going to do a lot better than last year. But as for everybody else, UCF with Gus Malzahn, the thing about Malzahn is he tends to win games he shouldn't, and he always loses the games that he shouldn't. Case in point, they beat Tulane in the regular season, then they lost to Navy in the regular season.
Yeah, a little inconsistency, huh? Yeah, but if you looked at the recruiting profile for UCF, they actually have the number 1 recruiting class in all of the Big 12s for 2024. So he's putting together some 4-stars that are really nasty. Some really good guys out of the state of Florida. I mean, he can recruit. He's always been able to recruit. So if he can get some guys, and maybe to your point, maybe he still kind of underperforms, but still, not an easy game. He'll send guys to the league. He'll have talent. It'll be fun. UCF, Houston, Baylor, TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma State's always really solid. Utah, Arizona State, and Arizona, if they can get a little bit better, and then if Dion can stick around in Colorado, they might be pretty good too. They could be a sleeping giant with Dion. So, who knows? Who knows? Big 12's the door's wide open for a lot of teams to kind of take over that conference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like we touched on. There's going to be a lot of parity, and everybody's going to be competing against one another.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, if the ACC's staying on. I mean, I know they're staying on for now, but are they staying on for at least 5 years from now?
I don't see it happening. I really don't. I see Florida State and Clemson trying to find a new home, whether that's in the Big Ten or the SEC. I think the SEC and the Big Ten will eventually get to 20 teams at least. And how could you not want Florida State or Clemson? So I could see those 2 schools going. And if they go, I know they have a really tough contract to get out of, something like $100 million buyout or something like that. But if they can figure out a way to get out of that, or some boosters can pony up some money, you got to think that 100 million, while that's a huge number, they could make that up in media rights deals or just exposure by moving to the SEC or the Big Ten. So I see them trying to get out in the next few years for sure. And I mean, Florida State's been really vocal about it. They're already trying to get out.
Oh yeah, they want out. I mean, it's kind of like everybody's like, oh well, we gotta keep Florida State happy. Well, I don't think they're gonna be happy either way, whether you have
Right.
Stanford, Cal, SMU, or if you don't have those schools. So it's like darned if you do, darned if you don't. Oh, it's
Yeah, and I don't think it matters about the schools. Florida State just wants the money. Um, and I think those schools like a Clemson and Florida State, I think they'd be happy to stay in the ACC if they could get a paycheck that's competitive, because then your automatic bid and your path to the playoff is easier. And I think the playoff is what it's all about as we expand to 12 teams.
well, and I'll be honest. Stanford, being added to the ACC possibly. I'm like, I got a feeling that's the work of Notre Dame we're talking.
Did you see the reports today and the quotes from the Notre Dame AD?
I think I did. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just read a couple tweets about it or whatever, but the Notre Dame AD seemed pretty vocal about him trying to help get a Stanford and Cal into the ACC. And I think that's a lot about the academic prowess and trying to keep those schools relevant to, Notre Dame plays those schools, it will play Stanford every year. So they want to keep them relevant to help them as an independent school. So I agree. I think it's the Notre Dame effect.
I'll be honest though. I think NBC, and I mean this isn't right now, but when like they see the money made from like Notre Dame, Ohio State, and like say Notre Dame, Wake Forest, or like any other ACC opponent in general, I think they're gonna have a private little talk with Notre Dame and say, "Hey, we make a little money from you playing Big Ten school. Um, why don't I join the Big Ten with us?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, it very well could happen, especially as there's continual shift in the live sports and kind of cable markets. It's, you know, NBC is going to want more live programming and more viewership on that because, yeah, people aren't watching as much. So they want the eyeballs as much. And we're moving towards like kind of elite programming. Like a lot of these conferences talk about a 10-game conference schedule. It's because those games are better. Like look back at it, go back to Arizona's schedule. Like I'm excited for this year. I think we're a good team, but I'm not excited about playing NAU or UTEP, right? And people aren't going to tune into those games. So I think the TV networks just want to see more competitive games, week in and week out. They don't want to see Ohio State play Toledo. They want to see Ohio State go and play USC or UCLA. Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's just it doesn't do anything for us as consumers of the content. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be like really big to see what's going on with the Big Ten and everybody else. The race to 20 teams. I mean, Big 12's gonna take part in cleaning out the ACC. I mean, I think they're gonna
Yeah.
try to get Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, and Louisville. Because I mean, let's be real, West Virginia needs some rivals. Not talking about
Yeah.
Louisville and Cincinnati are rivals, but Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, they're rivals with West Virginia, and they got some history with them. How
For
funny would
sure.
that be? West Virginia tries to join the ACC. ACC says no, but then the ACC leftovers say we want to join. We want to join.
I know.
West
I
Virginia.
know.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because there was going back to the Pac-12, the Big 12 and the Pac-12 tried. I think it was Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner. He tried to merge with the Pac-12. And we were too like, yeah, we're gonna get a bigger media right deal, and then all of a sudden the Arizona's the world come run to the Big 12. It's funny how this is all shaken out. I would love though if the Big 12 with 16 teams right now, if they were able to get 4 teams from the ACC, if you could get a Pittsburgh, if you could get a Louisville, a Virginia Tech, and maybe North Carolina or like a Wake Forest or something. I mean, that'd be really fun. It would bulk up the East Coast. So Central Florida, West Virginia, Cincinnati, they would have more natural games to play without less travel. and it would be a fun conference. I mean, it would be a really fun conference. I think they would cement themselves as the number 3 conference, which is huge, just because we're moving towards, you know, as there's a shift towards 2 major conferences. You just want to position yourself, as best as you can, to not get poached and not have a place to go, and you still want people to watch and TV money to come in.
Yeah, it's too bad that the Pac-12 didn't take a page from the Big 12. Like the Big 12, they didn't go, oh well, we're too good for Central Florida. We're too good
That's
for
right.
Houston. They didn't do that. Pac-12, they were kind of sitting there going, we're too good for TC. We're too good for Baylor, Texas Tech, all
Yeah,
those. You can't
yeah,
do that. I will
yeah.
bite you in the rear times out.
I know. Yeah, and I always thought, and I know there's some history with Utah and BYU in terms of their fans and whatever. I always thought it was dumb that BYU wasn't in the in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They're in Utah. You have Utah as a natural rivalry. You build out the mountain, right, with Colorado, Utah, BYU, and even the Arizona schools. I just always thought that was short sighted because BYU has a great brand, huge brand. They have the LDS, obviously, background, but they have a great alumni base. They have a very wealthy school with wealthy alumni, whether it's the Marriott family or the Marriott business. They have deep BYU ties. Like, it just always felt short sighted. BYU seemed to fit so well into the Pac-12. So I know there's more to it, but
Oh yeah, I mean it would have been fun to see BYU Utah on rivalry week in the Pac-12, but oh well, we'll get to see it back on rivalry week 2024.
exactly. Can't wait. Exactly.
Because I mean, you could try to market Kansas State as the top rivalry, but you can't. You could try TCU Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, but you really can't. So what do? Get somebody that's a natural rival and market that as the rivalry, the go-to
Yeah.
rivalry.
Yeah, and those games are gonna be fun, man. Like BYU and Utah do not like each other at all. Like, it is the holy war for a reason. They do not like each other. Their fans don't like each other. Everyone in their families are either BYU or Utah. So there's just fun, natural, healthy rivalry there that, I think the Big 12, as it's shaping up, is going to be just such a fun conference. Such a fun conference.
For sure. Um, I look on the chat and Hummus Hero gives a ringing endorsement, a top-notch endorsement. Jacksonian is an underrated podcast. Everyone like and share. Thank you so much, Hummus Hero. And that's right. Like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell. Check it out for more top-notch episodes like this.
Love it. Love it.
And before we go, got some final thoughts. What are your final thoughts on like what to look forward to?
I think for anybody watching right now, Arizona should be on your radar to watch this year. The offense is going to be awesome. I think Jed Fish runs a really fun scheme. We have a bunch of NFL dudes on the offensive side, whether it's our left tackle should be a first or second round draft pick. We got young guys on the O line that are just great players, Jonas Avenea, and then we got I don't think we touched on it, but our starting right guard they announced is going to be a true freshman that we flipped.
Oh yeah,
Alabama.
Jordan Morgan.
So he's our left tackle. Our right guard is Raymond Polito.
Oh, I made that mistake. Thank you for the correction.
No, you're good. You're good. Raymond Polito, he was actually committed to Alabama. We flipped him on signing day. California kid. He's going to start day one. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, that's Jed Fish kind of coming in, doing some things that we haven't seen in Tucson. So, the offensive line is going to be a huge strength. Our wide receiver room is just elite. We got 2-3 guys on the wide receiver room that could play in the league, and then some really good depth. And then JDL should have I think he should have a really big year, and then we'll see. So I would just say, tune in to watch Arizona. And the Pac-12 this year is actually going to be really good, which I think I started off with saying it's ironic that the Pac-12 is going to have its best year in its last year, but it's going to be really, really good, really deep, a lot of talent, great quarterback play. And I think better defenses than you've seen in the past historically. It's not just offense. When you look at USC, they're not going to be very good on defense, but you look at Utah, Washington's got a good defense. Oregon, we haven't really talked a lot about Oregon. They still got Bo Nix. And a bunch of talent. So I think it's gonna be much watch TV and tune into the Cats because I think they got an opportunity to shock some people and make a first bowl game since I think 2017, so or 2018, excuse me. So should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun watching the patch. I mean, at least it's not like the Southwest Conference in the final year. Good grief.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of that makes it sad though, Jackson. I won't lie because it's like, man, you actually if you could have kept the LA schools around, and keep this conference intact and maybe add a San Diego State and a Boise State and all these things. It's like, that's a really deep conference. And so it's kind of sad to see the Pac-12 go. It's sad that the conference is going to be really good this last year. But again, they shot themselves in the foot time and time again. Or the only people in Pac-12. So anyway, not to end on that note. I think back to the
Not to
I think back to the question. It's gonna be a fun year. Tune into Arizona. Gonna be a really high flying offense. Should score a lot of points. Should surprise some people.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun watching Arizona. I'm looking forward to them. It's
Yeah,
gonna be fantastic watching Jalen
yeah.
guys.
I know you'll be tuning in, Jackson. I know you will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job making sure I stay up late till 1:30 a.m. watching these games.
Hey, if your job entails watching football till the early mornings, it's not too bad of a gig, right?
Yeah, well, got some other
Could be
gigs here
worse.
and there.
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go. Making that money.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just
Oh
kidding.
yeah. So for
Well, right on,
those
man.
who
Yeah.
wanna would you like to tell everybody where they can if they want to talk about Arizona football or
Yeah.
pick your brain
Follow
about
me on Twitter, SSN_Zona. I run the Sidelines Arizona page. You can find me on Twitter. Always love a good healthy banter or just talk shop. Love talking to my cats any time of the day. So go follow me. Appreciate it.
There we go. And that's a wrap for episode 9. And again, sorry about the technical difficulties from last week. And we will catch you on right here on YouTube. We will catch you on Twitter, Instagram, and comment, like, share it, and subscribe, and click that notification bell. And we'll catch you next time.